I want to right now go to the phones, and we're going to talk to Dana Michelle. And Dana Michelle is a local South Florida outreach coordinator, and she helps individuals who struggle with substance abuse. Dana, she's going to be talking to us tonight about her personal recovery, but also her passion for helping others. Her recovery journey started July of 2011, so she's in her celebration month. Let's bring Dana on and talk to her about it. Dana, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Hey, listen, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being a part of Rockers in Recovery Radio. Give us a little bit of background on how your recovery journey started back in July of 2011.
Well, it's funny because you're talking about like South Florida and South Florida treatment. Like I'm a local. I was born and raised in South Florida, and I also got clean in South Florida, and I went to treatment. And it was actually my first spiritual awakening that I had, which was on July 4th of 2011. And I was sitting there, and I was like sick and tired of my old ways. I was broken, beaten, lost. I was just emotionally numb, and I was sitting there in the grass looking at the fireworks, and I was like, you know what? Fireworks represents independence, and here I am so codependent on something so mood and mind altering. Like I want to get my independence. And so I went to treatment, and treatment was one of the best things for me because I was that type of addict that like I needed that bubble, and I needed to learn about what my triggers were. I needed to learn about the people, places, and things that I needed to change my playmates and my playgrounds and learn some of my core issues and where it really stems from. And it wasn't until like I got honest with myself and I went into treatment that I was able to see that. So my clean date is July 6th of 2011, and we will be celebrating 6 years by the grace of God, as long as I don't pick up a day at a time, and I'm completely grateful for that. Like, recovery has completely changed my life, my outlook on life, my perception, everything.
Do you believe, and I was talking about it at the beginning of the show, do you believe that you have to be plugged in and you have to be willing and ready to do this and be committed to it, or it won't work? Do you believe that?
I believe that everybody has a different circumstance. I know for me that I had to be completely done. I knew that at the end of the road, which it was the end of my road, that I couldn't continue living the lifestyle that I was living. I wasn't forced. I was the type of addict that like I was in trouble, and I was in the court system for 1.5 years, and they tried to lock me up. They tried to court order me to treatment, and because I'm a rebellious type of individual, that if you force something on me, I'm not going to want to do it. So after everything and I got out of the court system, I went in. So for me, for this addict, I had to be done, and nobody can force me. And as soon as that was happening, I had opened my mind, and they say that like you can't graft an idea on a closed mind. And the reason why is because if it's closed, they're not hearing anything. But if I'm open, they'll be able to plant that seed for me. And that's exactly what had happened for me.
Do you think that when you're working on yourself and you started to commit to your recovery, that process for you really helped you to understand your own passion for wanting to help others?
Absolutely. Growing up, I always knew that I liked helping people, right? And I thought that I always wanted to be a lawyer and help, like, individuals. But what I came to find out is that, like, I do like to help individuals. And, like, my end destination has become a therapist in the federal prisons, and it's because like I want to be able to help the people that people tend to forget about, that people like even in the 12-step fellowships, people can be like, oh, here comes this individual picking up a white chip or a white key tag again, and like they're dampening the flame of desire for them instead of fanning it. And I want to be that individual to like help fan that flame and help boost them to want to do better for themselves. And like I only know that because like it was done for me, and that's where it really stems from. Like I remember when I was first trying to get clean in 2009, like people would sit there and talk bad about me and like what I looked like. And like there was that one person who believed in me, and it took me 2 years to get it, but I finally got it. So my passion is to help the individual, even the most difficult individual, to be able to help them understand that like there is a new way of life. You just have to be willing to do it. Like I can guide you, but you have to do the footwork yourself.
I think it's pretty scary at times because you just mentioned something. You're out, and I love your answer. But one of the things that's amazing is that I think we talk about the stigma on the outside, and people in the community and the stigma of addiction. There's stigma right in our own communities, the recovery communities. You were just talking about it. Somebody that's struggling. Not everybody, but there are people that will stigmatize that person, that will say things and bring that person to a place of not even wanting to go back to deal with their issues because of how they're feeling about being lambasted or whatever else the emotional processes and with some of the people and what they do in the recovery community. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I see people, like, when people go to meetings and, like, I kind of sit, like, back and, like, observe, and, like, I see people that are just so into their cliques and, like, not going up to the newcomer and welcoming them and, like, saying, like, here's my number, this or that. Like, like, it's funny because someone had reached out to me through Facebook. They're like, I need an assignment. I'm like, you need to talk to your sponsor. And they're like, my sponsor told me to get my assignment from you. And I said, okay, great. I was like, here's the assignment. I was like, for every white key tag that picks up, because the individual was a male, I said, go up to them, get their phone number, and reach out to them for 30 days. Because sometimes it's hard for an individual to feel welcome, especially when they sit back and they watch everybody within their cliques and they don't feel welcome. Like, we want to be able to welcome the newcomer and the individual as a whole to be able to make it easier for a transition for them to be accepted. Because for me, this addict, all I ever wanted to be was accepted, because I never accepted myself, and only through the process of recovery have I been able to learn to accept myself. But if it wasn't for the people that loved me until I could love myself, I probably wouldn't be here.
Dana is a huge heart, and she gives back, and of course she is an outreach coordinator for a local treatment program in South Florida, and she is willing to take phone calls from people at 954-588-3696. Please feel free to give her a call. In closing, Dana, you are now into the process of getting people into treatment and helping people. How does that process work, and what do you do? I mean, how does it work for somebody to go through that process? Paint a picture for them.
Well, honestly, the individual, it's either like a loved one that's reaching out, or the actual individual themselves. And, like, when they reach out and they say that they're struggling, like, I kind of just hold up a mirror for them as a reflection so they can see the unmanageability in their own life. And once they see it and they realize that, like, listen, like, I need help or I'm going to die, like, then we start that process. For instance, I had an individual reach out to me, and she was a personal friend from 12-Step Fellowship, and, like, she's struggling right now. She's fighting the disease of addiction as we speak. And, like, every other day she'll be like, I want to go to treatment. I don't want to go to treatment. I want to go to treatment. I don't want to go to treatment. And, like, I'm just talking to her, and finally she's like, you know what? I want to go to treatment. So we started the whole process. Each individual is different. Some people will just be like, listen, like, I'm ready to go. Let's go. And, like, they're right. They go right through the process. They get on the phone with admissions. Admissions talks to them. They walk them through the process. Like, the whole thing of my end, admissions end, and getting to the door of treatment is just to make sure that the client is as comfortable as possible while understanding that they have a disease of addiction that they need to be able to treat. And as me, I went to school to become a recovery coach support specialist. I'm there to be their mirror. I'm there to help them understand and point out and have them get to those aha moments on their own. Because for me, I wouldn't do anything to anybody that I wouldn't want done to me. So for me, I have them to help them realize it. Because if you told me, I would tell you, like, listen, bro, like, I don't see what you're talking about.
Dana can be reached again at 954-588-3696. Is that correct? 3696.
Yes.
And, one of the things that we're going to close with real quick is that there's a lot of people struggling right now with the epidemic across this country. And if you had to say something to a loved one dealing with a family member, what would you say?
I honestly, there's a lot of loved ones that have like a family member that are struggling, and my personal experiences is that my grandparents were ashamed of who I was and they didn't want to talk about it publicly. But until they were able to reach out to someone, because someone that had helped save my life, who was also in a 12-step fellowship, until she spoke up and until she reached out her hand and learned about addiction, the process of me getting help didn't start. So if there's someone out there struggling or has a loved one struggling, like, speak up. Like, it doesn't matter how much you think they're going to get mad at you. It doesn't matter, like, what you think. Like, it's going to help save their life. Like, my grandmother sent me to jail and kept me in jail. And as much as I was mad at her, like, she helped save my life. And, like, I love her for that because, like, a lot of codependency issues are there with me and my grandmother. So if, like, I got mad at her, but in reality, she was having my best interest. And, like, there's, like, a quote that they said that, like, how do you know if you're enabling? Like, says if the addict is happy with your behavior, you're probably enabling. If the addict isn't happy with your behavior, it means that you're doing the right thing. And that's exactly what had happened. You know, when I was in treatment, my therapist had painted a picture for my grandmother because she was my biggest enabler. And what they did, because they had offered a family program, he drew a picture and he drew a tombstone. And in the tombstone, it said, "Rest in peace, Dana. Her grandmother loved her to death." And ever since then, our relationship started to change. So all I can say is don't stay quiet and please stick your hand out, because if you stick your hand out, someone will grab your hand and pull you up and help you to the best of the ability that you allow them to help you.
Great stuff. Dana, thanks for being with us tonight. 954-588-3696. You can catch Dana just by giving her a call and asking her any questions. You can also, what's your email that they can reach out to you at, Dana?
It's Dana, D. Gonzalez, D as in Dana, Gonzalez, Gonzalez, at Amethyst, AMETHYST, recovery, RECOVERY.org.
Great stuff. Thanks for being on the show. We look forward to having you back in the future for sure.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery. This show is brought to you in part by Amethyst Recovery Center. You can reach Dana Gonzalez at 954-588-3696. Again, that's 954-588-3696. You can also find them online at amethystrecovery.org. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show.
To the light, keep coming back. Give your brother to the blues. Keep coming back, Lord. What you got to lose? Well, I walk the road of thunder. I walk the road of pain. Yeah, my ego got best of me, and now life is living in vain. It's when I hit rock bottom, voice from up above, keep coming back. Give your battle to the blues. Well, keep coming back.